A loser of future generations who will have to pay off the debt racked up by politicians unwilling to tax the most profitable companies in the world. For economies to thrive, companies need to hand over about a quarter of their profits. The S&P average tax rate is in fact 27%. But who pays less than this? Who plays by different rules? You guessed it, the most successful companies in the world. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google. The four horsemen are treated differently. They play by a different set of rules because our leaders, supported by our society, has decided to engage in the gross idolatry of tech innovators that is just plain gross. Think about it. The terrorists in San Bernardino last year, if they were using a BlackBerry and BlackBerry or RIM had refused to provide access to the FBI, we would have shut down the Canadian border, but not the iPhone. It's sacred. We have our Jesus Christ, we have our cross, and we've decided that our iPhone is more sacred than our home or our computers or our persons that can be searched with due cause. Politicians in the US are worshiping at the altar of these tech geniuses. Marguerite Vestager in the EU is slapping Google with a $2.7 billion fine over comparative shopping search results. But with $18 billion in cash and cash equivalents on its books at the end of March, Google's not going to feel much pain. In fact, the penalty amounts to 1 month of parent company's Alphabet's operating cash flows. The horsemen are taking calculated risks. They've done the math and realized the best decisions for shareholder value is to wave their finger in the face of government and lie. When Facebook sought approval of the acquisition of WhatsApp, they assured EU regulators that it would be impossible for the two entities to share data in the short term. This calmed regulators' concerns over privacy, and the acquisition was approved. Well, spoiler alert, Facebook figured it out, and they figured it out fast. So feeling lied to, the EU fined Facebook $122 million. Facebook felt WhatsApp was worth $19 billion, so a 0.6% premium for increasing the likelihood the acquisition goes through is chump change. This is the equivalent of getting a $10 parking ticket for a meter that charges $100 every 15 minutes. It's just better to break the law. What is the algebra for an effective penalty? The fine times the probability of getting caught equals serious shit. It's time for regulators to grow a pair and begin levying serious penalties against the four. For example, when 80% of our news on Google and Facebook the week before the election is fake, and Google and Facebook have not put in place the processes and technology that, by the way, other media firms seem to have figured out, what should the penalty for that be? Facebook's defense? We're not a media company, but a platform. What if the week before the election, McDonald's was serving beef and we discovered that 80% of that beef was fake? And we came down with encephalitis that clouded our judgment and we began making terrible decisions. Would an appropriate defense be, we're not a fast food restaurant, we're a fast food platform? We'll see you next week.